In only two places in the entire Jewish Bible does God designate someone to be his chosen one. The first time is with Moses in the desert, and the second time is with King David. All other choices of leadership that God agreed to was the result of sin or the result of some other tragic event. Only Moses and David are God's chosen, and between the two, David is the more chosen than Moses. But we have to reflect upon the qualities of King David and Moses to understand what exactly God looks for in a leader of men. And so the Midrash reflects on this. Moses was a shepherd, and David was a shepherd. Both men were shepherds. Remarkably, both men were very devoted to their sheep. Moses evaluated how the sheep would eat and what they would do while he was herding them, while he was controlling them, and came to the conclusion that the sheep should be let out at different times, that the first to be let out were the little lambs because their teeth were the most delicate and they needed to grow. And if the older sheep were left to be grazing before them, they wouldn't get the delicate and fresh greens that they needed. Next, he let out the older sheep because the older sheep's teeth were weaker and couldn't eat the hard stubble at the bottom of the grass. They needed something softer, but they didn't need the delicate shoots that the little kids needed for their own growth. And finally, he let the mature adults out, the young adults and the more mature adults that could eat the stubble because they could grow fat even with difficult grass because their teeth and jaws were strong and they were healthy and full grown. And when God saw that, God said, this is a man who can lead people, because if he treats sheep in a judicious way, just imagine how judicious he will be with human beings. And King David had the same general approach. However, in one area, King David was greater than Moses. And that was in protecting his sheep. King David was fearless and feared no creature. That was not to say that King David was reckless. King David understood that a lion is a lion and a bear is a bear, and that they are both dangerous animals, but he did not fear them. He learned how to deal with a lion and how to deal with a bear and how to frighten them off. And so David was also someone who was worried about the sheep. And David was willing to risk his own health and his own life to protect them. And when he got the responsibility of men, he risked his own life to protect them as well. And of course, Moses did the same. But David, in that area of being able to put himself aside and not fearing anyone except God, this was something that Moses had to acquire, had to learn, and King David had by nature. Both of these men, were they to be running for elected office, could never be elected a leader. Moses had a terrible, terrible time talking and getting his point across. he was worse than W. He didn't just mispronounce nuclear, but he mispronounced just about every word. And King David was small, the runt of the litter, was thought to be from another mother, was not thought very, very highly of, was moody, was melancholy, and played his instrument to express his love of God, but was seen as strange, small and strange, not the kind of person that could have the charisma of a leader. He didn't look presidential at all. He didn't have that glowing smile and that confident look. What he had was determination and action. And even the prophet Samuel, when he was looking for a king, thought that the king of Israel was the oldest of David's brothers. He was tall and handsome and powerful and energetic and charismatic. He had all the qualities necessary to be a leader. And Samuel says, here I'm looking at the leader of Israel. And God told him, don't look at his external package. God sees the heart, and you don't see the heart. Odem yira lo einayim v'Hashem yira lalevav. Man only sees the outward aspects, but doesn't see the heart. The heart of a king is the heart of a champion, the heart of someone who never gives up, the heart of someone who gets things done, the heart of someone who's not afraid to do what's right. That was Moses and that was David. Moses was a man of action, and so was David. If somebody stood up against the Jewish people, Moses was right there to take them on, and so was David. This is leadership. When a person is willing to take things on, irrespective of his ability to speak and to look presidential and to look nice. What does this have to do with us as Jews? We're coming before Rosh Hashanah. Most of us get dressed well, and we present ourselves well as we enter Rosh Hashanah. In fact, we take the machzor, and we say our prayers, and we pray nicely and devotedly. We come on time, and we participate. But remember, all of this is just merely looking presidential. If you want to be presidential, you must act presidential. If you want to be a man of God, what does it mean to be a man of God? Someone who is choosing God as his king, who wants God to include him as part of his servants. If you are to be of God's club, you have to become a person, a man or a woman of action. All of us would like to be someone great. We all have our heroes. We all have a role that we wish we could play. But even in smaller, narrower circumstances, we can't be the leader of a great country. And we won't be the spiritual guide who will inspire tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. Question is, what is it that we would like to do that we haven't done yet? And when we identify those things that we haven't done yet, that is within our capacity, let's do them and do them now. And that's the quality of King David. And that's the quality of Moses. And that's the quality of a person who would be king. And we have to become kings and queens of our own inner selves, of our own Yetzer Hara, our own evil inclination. We must be king of our city, of our country. And then we can become kings and queens over a wider territory. And so the message is, don't look at the outward glitz. Look at the heart. Make sure that the heart is in the right place.